Welcome to One-on-One. I'm Rick Kaplan. My guest today is Jennifer Cabrera, and she is with Vicente Sederberg LLP. How are you, Jennifer?
I'm doing well, Rick. Thanks for having me on today.
Oh, it's my pleasure. Tell me a little bit about what you do with Vicente Sederberg.
Of course. Vicente Sederberg is a rather unique law firm in that we are probably one of the only firms that focuses on cannabis and hemp. We're founded in 2010 out in Denver. We've had our Boston office since 2014, I want to say. I am based out of the New York office and work closely with Boston. I lead up the firm's litigation department.
So talk about a boutique firm. This is definitely what we would consider that.
Absolutely. We specialize. Power of focus, right?
That's right. So you're not, you're going to give them the full attention they need when they call you. So what are some of the problems, some of these unique problems that arise from the marijuana business?
Oh my goodness.
Probably a whole list of them.
Well, there's the one that we're a federally illegal industry, which makes it very difficult. Of course, cannabis has been legalized for either medical or adult use recreational purposes in many states. I think it's over 10 states where it's legal for adult use. Massachusetts, obviously, being a pretty early adopter, certainly the earliest adopter on this coast. Woohoo! So it's a challenging industry to work in. For instance, one of the biggest problems that cannabis businesses face is stems from the fact that cannabis is on the Controlled Substances Act list of controlled substances, right? As a result, these businesses can't deduct ordinary business expenses. They are unable to take normal deductions for payroll, for instance. As a result, they just pay far more in tax than a comparable industry. Or when you have a pandemic, a once-in-a-century pandemic like we're going through right now,
right.
And Congress passes programs like the Payroll Protection Program. These have generally not been available to cannabis businesses. So it's challenging. Our clients work in a tough industry where compliance is absolutely key. And as a result, our clients are some of the most careful, fastidious clients I've ever worked with, honestly. It's a highly regulated industry. The plus side is it's booming. It is one of the few American growth sectors that we have right now. It's all because it's state-based. Every state has to have their own cultivators, their own growers, processors, and dispensaries. So the entire supply chain is limited just to the Commonwealth. Same thing with every other state where it operates, which is very unique.
Yeah, one of the things that people tend to think when they think cannabis is that, there's a cannabis dispensary opening up. Now I'm going to have a lot of trouble in my neighborhood because they have that idea of how it was with drug dealers hanging around in the alleys and the street corners. It's not like that, though.
Well, no, you're not going to have a bunch of teens hanging out by the basketball court dealing. And it's very different because it's so highly regulated. Having a dispensary often means that you're going to have more security. You're going to have more of an emphasis on making sure that it's clean and well lit and the property is kept up. So it honestly is a real benefit to a lot of, certainly to distressed neighborhoods, and also you've got dispensaries opening. And
yeah, so that's why, instead of them fighting a cannabis dispensary coming into their city or town, they should be embracing it because it's going to help with some of the security reasons and, keep the eyes in the area going, because they have cameras everywhere.
They do, it's true. But, it really is down to the town, right? Like you have to choose for the municipalities, you understand they've got to choose what's best for them. And I think that over time, like for instance, the Cape initially, there was a pretty much all out ban on
Yeah,
all
right.
business opening. And that changed. Once you see how successful some of these businesses are and how much in tax revenue you can collect, it does start to change.
So now we're into this pandemic, and a lot of businesses have been affected by this. Now, I don't know how these dispensaries and warehouses and labs and all of them are handling this, if they're having some of the same issues, because I know they have been closed down for a little while as well, that everyone else is just starting up again. But you have force majeure, but they're asking for all kinds of rent relief and things. Are they finding that is an issue with the cannabis dispensaries and in the ed industry?
Honestly, when it comes to something like a pandemic, I think everyone's in the same boat because you've got all of these like big events companies, for instance, or the hotels, like all their business for the year is shot. It's just tough. And everyone is looking at their contracts to see if there's a way out. Sometimes contracts have a clause, like it's sometimes called a material adverse change clause. It says if there's been a material adverse change or a big economic downturn, you can get an out, basically. You can terminate without it being a breach. Not all contracts have that. It's uncommon, honestly. Under state law, you have some forms of relief, but it's a tough argument to make, and everybody is trying to figure it out. So we're going to see, honestly, it's unfortunate, but like the same thing happened a little over a decade ago, the big crash. You have a lot of litigation in the years that follow, and you get new case law as a result. So we're just all seeing what are the courts going to accept as a valid reason for getting out of your obligations.
So now you're working in Massachusetts, a little in Massachusetts, in New York, and New Jersey also, I understand.
Yep, I'm a native of Jersey.
So are you finding it a little different from state to state? Because this is not a federal thing. This is all state by state.
Absolutely.
So,
It is completely local.
so are all the rules and regulations a lot different from state to state?
Completely. There's just no crossover. It is New York, New Jersey. My career since I graduated law school has been New York and New Jersey. I went to law school up in Mass, and I work there, but it's only through I work closely with my colleagues up there. There's no way for me you can't parachute into another jurisdiction and know it. And so
Right.
that's why it is absolutely crucial that you work with this kind of strong local presence. And
Well,
that's
New
why
York,
that's one of our biggest offices actually is our
but
Boston
New
office.
York is not, it does not have adult use. It's just
Does not.
medical.
That's right. There was talk about trying to get it legalized, but it's has not happened. New Jersey probably will legalize later this year, fingers crossed, but it takes a while. Like from Mass, I think the referendum was what, in 2014? No, it was 2014.
Yeah, something like that.
The first dispensaries were opening. I think the first one was in Northampton, like in what, 2018? Like it took a long
Oh, yeah.
time.
There was
For
like one that opened up. I think it might have even been in 2019 that
yeah.
the one opened up, but it's
Yeah. And in the middle of the state, like
right, and it's like 75, 100 miles away from the mainstream population.
I know, but all the college students were
Yeah, yeah, that's just what they needed. But
no, it's true. But I think about that lead time. I mean, you had to get a commission set up, you had to have regulations written. It takes a while. And the way we do things on the East Coast is there's going to be a lot of layers of government. There's going to be regulation and oversight. You're not going to have this big open free market like you see in Oklahoma, for instance.
right.
So if New Jersey, for instance, legalizes later this year, it's several years down the line before dispensaries are open to the general public, if I had to guess.
But we do see in Massachusetts, anyways, that it is becoming a lot more mainstream. People are starting to be a little more accepting of it. Landlords are definitely looking right now for as many dispensaries as they can because retail is just suffering so badly.
Yeah.
So, you know, I mean, I don't understand how some other states look at that and say, well, this is a mistake for us to open it up.
It's a massive country and every state's different. Within Mass, you have such differences, honestly, in how landlords view this. Because on the one hand, often landlords charge a really high premium on the rent. But there are issues, right, with letting to a cannabis business, including the fact that because cannabis businesses can't use most of the banking system isn't available to them. They can have a checking account, but you can't get any kind of loans. No bank loans are available. So you can't get a mortgage. So you have these really strange systems, like you get a lot of seller financed mortgages, or you have to get together private money to buy land outright. So it's difficult. If you are going to rent a space, the owner of the property usually needs to own that property outright. So, I mean, it just limits the available properties.
Right.
Makes it
So
harder.
if someone was interested and wanted to start up into the cannabis business, what 3 points would you say they would have to look at before they even start?
All right. Number one, do you have a mortgage on your property? If you've got a bank mortgage, you may have a problem. Number two, in how many other dispensaries, processors, or cultivators are in your community? This is stuff that you can find out through the commission website. And number three, talk to a lawyer.
I would have thought you would have said that was number one. But
I don't want people to waste their time.
okay, well, those are great points. I appreciate you doing the interview, Jennifer. We're talking with Jennifer Cabrera, and she's with Vicente Sederberg LLP. Thank you, Jennifer.
Thanks, Rick.
Thank you for watching today's interview. If you'd like to be a guest, a sponsor, or even advertise in the New England Real Estate Journal, you'll find our contact information in the description box below. You can also find all our social media platforms so you can follow us, and please subscribe to our YouTube channel.